Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm super pleased to have you be joining us today, and I'm really honored to have Jim Schwarz from Lake Sotheby's International Realty. Jim, thank you very much for coming, my friend.
Glad to be here. Appreciate the invite.
The Realtor of the Week.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you doing this and taking time out of your day, knowing you're super, super busy. So thank you very much.
And you as well. I know you're really busy.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, obviously you went to college down in Florida, met your bride at that time, and how did you end up growing up to be a realtor?
So let's see how far we want to go back here. So, yeah, exactly. How much time do we have? No, for me, relative to my world, so I went to Florida State in college. That's where I graduated from, and straight out of college, my first job was with Ernst & Young. So I was a finance and accounting guy, back in the day, a finance guy. And so I worked for them for a number of years and ended up moving from Florida to the Twin Cities.
Got it.
Way back in the early 90s. So our introduction to the Twin Cities was 1991, and everybody always talks about the 30 inches of snow on Halloween. That's us coming back from Florida. That was a lot of fun.
Welcome, Minnesota.
I know. Yeah. Loved it.
So you're with Sotheby's,
Yes.
Obviously, Lake Sotheby's.
Like Sotheby's.
Knowing that you're very good at what you do, there's so many different companies out there. Why Sotheby's?
Yeah. So actually, I've been in the real estate business close to 20 years. So in talking about the corporate world, fast forward, 2004 is when I jumped into real estate. And for me, I had that aha moment as I was traveling for work. My plane was canceled. I missed my daughter's 10th birthday, and I just finally said to myself, you know what? I enjoy corporate America, but there's more to life. And I was also looking for the work-life balance as much as possible, at least having better control over my schedule. And so I just said there's got to be something better. And I love doing deals. I was doing mergers and acquisitions work for a company. And so I said I want to continue to do deals, but on my schedule. And so I jumped into the real estate business at Edina Realty in the Chanhassen office.
Sure.
And was there for close to 7 years. Really loved my time at Edina Realty, a lot of great people, and then I just had an opportunity to move on to Lake Sotheby's, and so I took that, and 12 years later, I'm kind of one of the veterans over at Lake Sotheby's now.
Yeah, that's great. A great friend of mine, Joe Kirk, absolutely loves your organization.
Yep.
I mean, it's so much pride is spelled out within there.
Yeah, Joe's fantastic, and just relative to our ownership, the senior leadership team, it's a lot of great people.
Yeah, well, it's class, and that's the name itself speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I've known you for a number of years, and the
We go
friendship
back.
is beyond. You've lived in Chanhassen.
Correct.
You work in Wayzata.
Correct.
How important is that hyper-local marketing? I know you do a ton of business there.
Yeah, so I've stayed in my lane, if you will. So southwest suburbs, western suburbs are my areas of expertise. I do a lot of relocation business within Lake Sotheby, so I do venture out to the Edinas of the world and other places, downtown Minneapolis. So I've got a broader perspective, I think, than some agents. But southwestern suburbs are definitely my area of expertise.
Do you do you find Chanhassen, because I know I just watch the listing signs pop all over that area. You just get to know people. You're very social.
You get to know people.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've always said is you need to be active in your community. So I've been active relative to Chanhassen Rotary Club and other things. And so it's just, again, being active, getting out and meeting people, being social. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the name of the game. Well, that's what I was going to kind of wonder. So I know I've seen you at some networking events at the Legion, not playing pull tabs. I just want to keep everything honest there. But you do a lot of just networking.
I do. One of the things for me, being in the real estate world, it's continuously networking. If it's coffee, if it's lunch, if it's a Rotary meeting, relocation meeting, whatever it is, just continuing to network and build relationships. That's, to me, how I've driven my business. Not a huge secret sauce, if you will. It's just a lot of persistence, a lot of hard work.
The famous words, persistent and consistent, my friend, right? So we cannot go any further in this interview without touching base on the absolutely gorgeous listing you got at 2400 Center Point in, I say Wayzata, but it's Woodland, correct?
So 2400 Cedar Point Drive in
Yep.
Woodland.
Yeah.
On a peninsula, almost 1,700 feet of lakeshore. Absolutely spectacular property.
If you all have not seen this property, matter of fact, I found it somewhat humorous because a good friend of mine used the post and said, if you know anybody that wants to buy a $15 million listing, call me, There you go. So Jim was,
I know that person, yeah.
Jim got the listing, and explain how you did that. I mean, I was very impressed when you and I spoke about that.
Yeah. So for me, very blessed that way. And it's one of those, and I'll give credit to our managing broker at the time, Jacob Smith.
Okay.
So that year, when we were just talking about strategies and, how do you really have a good year? And he said, just, keep it simple sometimes, answer the phone. And so this was a situation where I had a client, they were living down south at the time, and they called me to say, hey, we see you have a nice listing in the northern suburbs, which is where they have family. They both went to college here in the Twin Cities, and so they said, we're interested in this listing that you have in the northern suburbs, and we're going to come take a look at some point. And they did. They looked at that property and said, you know what, just not the right fit. We seem to have struck a chord here. Let's meet for coffee the next day. And so we met in downtown Wayzata.
Yep.
And those people said to me, we love downtown Wayzata. We want to live within 5-10 minutes of downtown Wayzata. Find us something. And so fast forward, I found them the property that ultimately they built this beautiful home on. So, yeah.
So did they build it, or was it existing?
So I helped them find this beautiful peninsula property.
Yep.
I had this old greenhouse on it at the time, and so they tore it down. And then that was in 2014. So 2014, 15 was the design build process, and then it was finished in 2016.
It is
Just went by it.
every single person that has ever boated on Tonka is driven by this house and
Yes.
just went.
It's iconic.
Both sides, you look out, it's looking out at the lake. Wayzata Bay.
Yes. Well, and for me, I had the good fortune where the homeowners, property owners said to me, Jim, we value your opinion. You're a member of the team. So I had the good fortune of being in all the design meetings, all of the build meetings over that 2-year process. So it was a labor of love, and yeah, it's become an iconic home, and so very fortunate.
How do you possibly, knowing our world and the mortgage world is all determined on comps, how do you come up with a list price for a property like that?
So it's a lot of work, a lot of conversations with people. It's trying to find deals that have occurred through the MLS, outside of the MLS, and so just a lot of information gathering. Part of it was if today somebody was going to build that house, what's it going to cost? And so talked to my builder network. Streeter built the home.
Yeah, sure.
One of the best builders in the Twin Cities, and so got their opinions and thoughts, and so you roll it all together and you see where we're at.
So one thing that has to be unique about this property is the media coverage
Yes.
has been amazing. I saw an article about CBS News. How's that been?
Yeah, I mean, good fortune. So WCCO was out here recently. We did a nice segment for the news, and so got a lot of hits on social media because of that, and a lot of good feedback. And Bring Me the News did something the week before, and we've had Twin Cities, the Business Journal has done something. Star Tribune. We've been blessed. We've had a long list of media that have written about it in a very positive way.
So here's an important question for, I think, a lot of the realtors out there today. There can be an intimidation factor, right? I was told by a great friend of mine, Joe Wheelu, who said, it doesn't matter who you deal with. We all put our pants on the same way.
Yep.
What are your thoughts with that when you deal with a client of this person's stature? How do you deal with that?
So working with upper bracket clients, for the most part, they are very cordial, very, very professional, nice, but expectations are very high. I mean, they didn't get to where they are by not being, or having high expectations. And so when they call, you pick up the phone. When they email you, you return things quickly, timely, and you give them the information that they're looking for. So there's an expectation level that going in, hey, I need to perform on this. So
The cool thing about this story, everybody, is that I always talk about the low-hanging fruit. These are former clients that you stay in contact with, so now when they do buy, they're calling you, explaining how important is friends, family, past clients.
I think it goes back to the persistence piece and staying in touch with people and relationships, and with these sellers, so they are friends now. But it's going out to dinner, it's playing a round of golf, it's having a cup of coffee, it's just staying in touch.
Yeah, and I think that's critical. That's that persistent, consistent, staying on top of people. So explain a little bit about, I know you do some new construction stuff. You're doing a development right over across the coffee shop in Eden Prairie, the condos there, correct?
So that was a past project.
Yep, yeah.
But one of the things that I've always had a passion about was architecture and new construction. And so I've made that a focus of my business. And so I've, again, been fortunate to work with some really good talent here in the Twin Cities. Closed a couple of deals last year with Hendel Homes. So Rick and Amy Hendel, so fantastic builder. And so that's always been a focus of mine.
Are there builders reaching out to you, or is this part of your marketing where you're calling out to them, offering your services?
Yeah. So more of outreach by me
Okay.
Versus the other way, but that kind of ebbs and flows. I've got a triplex project that we're doing in Linden Hills right now, and I had a developer reach out to me to kind of pick my brain as to the marketplace and what are we seeing, and so we might be doing something together.
Last time we had spoke, you talked about heading up to Duluth.
Yes.
How did that all go?
Yes. So that is a very fun, exciting, long project. And what I mean by long is that a good friend of mine who's been a developer in the southwestern suburbs for many, many years started this project about 20 years ago, if you can believe it. And so between him and his partners, fast forward to today, and so it's finally coming to fruition. And so I was up there to see the first few buildings. And so it's exciting, yeah. So.
Duluth is a beautiful area, and this particular area is unbelievable.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, the development's by Spirit Mountain, and so it's essentially what it's become is investment properties, townhomes. So you can buy them as investments or vacation properties, and it's exciting. I think it's going to resonate well.
So, Jim, what's happened to today's market? Very few listings. Oftentimes when you get a listing, the seller's tendency is to always, let's go high. How critical is it right now? I mean, I've seen over the last 90 to 120 days, pricing a property is probably more important than ever.
I can tell you that one of the trends that I'm seeing in the industry are sellers saying, let's talk about, can we push price? And I think a big part of it is, well, my neighbor got X a year or 2 years ago, or my coworker got a big number, so inventory is low, we should be able to push things. And that's where we need to talk about, well, what have you done to get your home ready? If your neighbor across the street spent $300,000 in upgrades, and you've only put in, 20, 30,000 over the years, again, let's get into the details and talk about it. But to your point, Mike, yeah, you definitely want to be smart in your pricing.
Do you find that the initial, you can tell within the first couple days? I mean, because obviously the activity of people coming in is huge. If people don't nip right away,
yes.
Then what?
Yeah, the market's been unique, I'll put it.
Yeah.
I've seen listings that are, flying off the shelf, that you've got, showings lined up, and you've got others that are a bit slower, but they ultimately sell fairly quickly. I had a beautiful listing in Eden Prairie that we started off a little bit slow, but we ended up with a couple of offers in a 2-week time frame, and so it went fairly quickly. So you just don't know. It's kind of a different market.
I know in my mortgage world, what we have found is instead of dropping list price, the seller's offering points to buy down rates helps. It helps the listing agent. It helps keep the sales price up for the neighborhood. And most importantly, it helps the buyers.
Agreed. Yeah, the creativity is definitely going to help. Absolutely. Yep.
Got it. So tell me a little bit about speaking of mortgage, what obstacles have your clients ran into in today's world with rates?
So I think the biggest thing, and it's what we're all feeling, is rates seem like they've gone from 3% to 7% pretty much overnight. And so it's getting used to that new normal if we can. I definitely felt a pullback in my business for a number of months, but all of a sudden it just seems like it's gotten crazy busy. Part of it, I think, is seasonality. But I think, again, there's a lot of pent-up demand, and people are saying, hey, I'm getting used to the new normal. The rate I get today, I can refinance down the road if that's 6 months or 2 years. And so I think people, again, have gotten used to the new normal, and it's better.
You've seen it all. Being a realtor since 2004,
Correct.
You've seen the highs, you've seen the lows,
Yes.
and part of what our responsibility is education. How important, I mean, how many conversations do you have about, the old cliche, a good agent tells people what they want to hear, a great agent tells them the truth.
Absolutely. And for me, education is a big part of it. And sometimes let's talk about what your goals are, but then what's the game plan to get there? Because if you talk about a 7% rate and you get people rolling their eyes like there's no way that's going to work. Let's talk about an ARM. Again, there are a number of options. And so let's just talk about it.
It's reality, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I've always loved and admired about you is that there's no sugarcoating. It's here's what it is, right?
Yeah. Be honest with people. For me, when I was in college at Florida State, both of my roommates at the time were from New York, so there wasn't the Minnesota nice that we like to talk about. If we weren't getting along, we all knew it. So it's refreshing to me, that open, honest conversation. So
You are extremely busy. I know I've got a tremendous friend, both of us do, in Sean Robertson. How much he helps you with listings and buyers, how do you can't do it all by yourself, right?
no, Sean Robertson is fantastic, and very grateful for all of her help over the years. But yeah, I'm finding as I'm getting more experienced, older in the business, that you just got to have the right team. So Sean has been fantastic, and then I added a young lady by the name of Amy Davis.
Amy Davis, sure.
Back in March, and so Amy is my client services manager, and she's been off the charts fantastic. We just closed a deal in Eden Prairie, beautiful home, and I was with the homeowner yesterday, just kind of wrapping things up, and handed off a closing gift, and he said, please, he goes, I want to make a point, and please tell Amy she was fantastic on this deal. So
That is they're a direct reflection of you. And when you get that compliment, you got to go, yes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was like, way to go. Way to go.
Well, it's
Yeah.
teamwork, right? I mean,
Right.
as I said, it's a competitive business, and the impressions last forever. That's how friendships are developed.
Yes.
So give me some thoughts. We've got almost 900 people in this group right now. What do you tell these new agents that are just getting into the business now?
Yeah, so go back almost 20 years for me. So I got into it at Edina Realty, and they were very supportive. But I was that one-man band doing everything. And when you're brand new, you're doing the best that you can to figure it out and give your clients great service. That experience, or what I took from that experience, was if I was new into the business, I would actually look to, one, find a mentor that I can, get significant time from, so I know I'm doing things the right way, the efficient way, and also just joining a team. Maybe that's not what your game plan ends up being long term, but just getting involved with people who know the business that can show you the ropes.
You had
I think it's helpful.
was John, or no, John's maybe was in Edina. Who was your manager in Chanhassen?
Oh,
Was it Kellogg?
Chris Kellogg.
Chris Kellogg?
Yes.
Good.
Chris was the second one at the Chanhassen office, but yeah, she was fantastic. And Lori Day was actually the first manager.
Perfect.
Who got me into the real estate business. So.
Well, Jim, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being the Realtor of the Week.
Appreciate that.
You know, everybody following us today, it means so much to both of us. We've got a couple different ways that you're going to be able to watch this. Obviously, you're watching it today on our Facebook Minnesota Realtors group. We've got a Instagram, which is all together one word, Realtor of the Week. But then we also have a YouTube channel, which is now spaced out, Realtor of the Week. So if you would please follow us on that, that'd be great. We appreciate you all joining us. We look forward to next week's episode where we're going to have another Realtor of Mr. Schwarz stature. So thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely.
I love our friendship. I love our friendship, and we will continue. Thank you.
Likewise.